Well, Lumsden Shaw thought Niamh Kelly. How are things, Niamh? You're welcome and thanks so many for being with us.
Hi, thanks very much for having us on.
And of course your sister Grace as well, but both with West Coast Eagles. Grace, how are you feeling now? And obviously coming to the end of the season for it, but coming up to the finals and after an exciting weekend, the semi-finals, I'm sure you were looking at them, Grace.
Yeah, we were really enjoying them. Yeah, it's different as a spectator watching, because you're still learning with each game and just learning from the different teams and the different game plans. So yeah, we were really enjoying it, and we were looking out for the Irish girls as well, so we could really focus in on the games and watch from a spectator's point of view. So yeah, they're really exciting, and I think the standard is getting better with each game and each year. So yeah, it was very good football.
And Niamh, you started last year, obviously it was the inaugural season for the West Coast Eagles, but what has it been like this year, having the extra Irish girls out there, and I suppose that extra interest there in playing against them as well?
Yeah, it's incredible. We've Ashley McCarthy over she was at the Bulldogs for the last 2 years. So it's so nice to have like another Irish head in the house and with the team as well. Just, I suppose it's like having a little bit of home away from home. And I suppose like just we kind of know each other's runs and stuff like that. So it's kind of good to be able to come home from training and just chat about like how it went. And sometimes we might pick up things a little bit differently to the Australian girls here. So it's really nice to be able to like chat about things like that and have another Irish head. But yeah, it's really good. Then I suppose you're always looking to see how the other Irish girls are getting on as well. So it's so nice to have there's 14 girls in it this year, which is great, and they're all getting on really well as well. So yeah, it's our second season this year, so it's been really good. Like we're kind of growing and developing more and more with each game as well. So really looking forward to what's to come.
And I suppose, Grace, like it definitely has been a big benefit to have been there last year and to kind of see it. But what have you found has been easier this year, or from the point of view of the game, the physicality or the skills? What became a bit easier in this second season?
Yeah, definitely. We were just saying the difference between the first and the second season. I think with each game you learn more and more. So the second season, I think the actual rules of the game and the education of the game, we knew a lot more. We were definitely more comfortable coming into the second season. Whereas the first season, you're kind of like, you're thrown into the deep end. You have a month of pre-season and then you're straight into it. So you kind of have to just try not to overthink it and just play on instinct. But obviously you get bits of rules mixed up. But this year, we definitely knew the rules more. And yeah, we're still learning, but definitely more comfortable this year.
And Niamh, there were a couple of tough draws, I suppose, with the teams you met at the beginning. Did that make a difference, I suppose, in meeting, you couldn't say, I suppose, bigger teams? Every game is big and every team is going to pose a challenge, but was that something that was tough to deal with maybe a harder team kind of early on in rounds 1 to 3?
Yeah, I suppose, we were drawn against some of the top teams. We had Adelaide in our first game and they're in the finals this weekend. But I suppose with anything, you want to be playing the best teams as well and see where you're at in comparison. So, yeah, with COVID and everything, things were changed. The fixtures were changed so that we didn't have to travel into Victoria. So they tried to keep us and Gold Coast and the likes of Brisbane and Queensland, Adelaide all together. And then all the Victoria teams, they played all of them together at the start as well. So it changed things up a little bit. But I suppose like Anthony, you kind of have to adapt to the situation. And I think we did that fairly well, but we're kind of a young team developing. But it's exciting to see kind of the development, even from last year as well. So yeah, although it was a bit of a change, it's good to play the top teams and see where you're at.
And Grace, you had a brilliant win against Geelong Cats in the 7th round. And I suppose even round 7 was coming nearer to the end, but I'm sure it must have been great for the confidence and just bringing the team together as one, because it is a developing team essentially.
Yeah, definitely. When we got playing kind of the other development teams like Geelong, Suns, St Kilda, we knew we kind of had a bit more of a chance that they came in the same year as we did last year. So going into that game, I suppose we were a bit more confident as well, because we did our research on them and we watched them the first 6 rounds. So we knew what we could bring and what they could bring as well. So we just played on our strengths really and tried not to overcomplicate it, and thankfully it worked out. So yeah, we were absolutely delighted with that win. I think every win that we get with the club, we just take it as like just a confidence boost and use it for the next game. So yeah, we're all delighted.
And Niamh, how confident were you, I suppose, in the positional sense as well? Because obviously, there's one of you playing midfield, one playing the forwards, and you're used to that with Maigh of interchanging and moving in and out. But how happy were you, I suppose, with the position that you were with the West Coast Eagles this year?
Yeah, I actually loved it. Last year I would have played as a winger, so it would be very similar to a wing forward in Gaelic football. So this year I kind of moved between the forward line, so had a little bit of time beside Grace. Then I went into the inside mids for a little while, so it's kind of in near where Aisling would be. And then I played on the wing as well, so it was actually really nice to change it up a little bit. But I think when we were all in different positions, myself, Aisling and Grace, it was actually really nice to have that link up. And then we'd be able to like I was kind of nearly on instinct. I'd look to see where Grace was running to. So I think you kind of nearly have that from Gaelic football as well. But yeah, it's been really good. I've been really enjoying like playing in different positions and stuff like that. And I feel like I've learned more about the game.
Sorry, Niamh, as you're saying there, Grace, like he definitely had an understanding, but I suppose, did that come easily with Ashley McCarthy then as well, to add in the Irish trio and just get that kind of understanding between the three of you?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually learned so much from Aisling because she's that extra year as well. She played with the Bulldogs for 2 years. So even when Niamh was transitioning into the midfield line, like Aisling could tell her so much about it and kind of tell her the similarities with Gaelic. So yeah, just the link up play between the three of us in a few different games was you could tell it was a bit of Gaelic style coming through. So I think Niamh was kind of the link between myself and Aisling as well. So yeah, we really enjoyed playing with her, and when she sees the football, she just gets it, and she's a little terrier on the pitch, and that's what we love about her. And yeah, we're just delighted to have her with the team, and again next year as well.
And Aisling suffered a bit of an injury, but obviously you all have your contract extensions for next year. And do you feel, Niamh, that you'll be happy enough to stay with the West Coast Eagles, or do you think that you're going to be poached by one of the other rival clubs?
No, we're delighted here with West Coast. They're an incredible club. Their level of professionalism, like across everything they do, is incredible. But they have just so many, my staff and everything, and they make you feel so welcoming. So I really do think Aisling is enjoying her first year here as well, and we've really enjoyed our second year here too. So yeah, we're looking forward to next year, and just looking forward to building on everything we've done kind of over the last year or two, and seeing kind of we've a lot of new young girls that have came through, and like the talent that's coming through as well is exciting. So yeah, we'll see what next year brings.
And Grace, would you have found that there was a good understanding between the AFL club and the AFLW, and I suppose just with the training facilities, is it shared in any way, or would there be much communication between the men and the women's clubs?
Yeah, there's huge communication between the two clubs. I think the way our facility is laid out, our coaches and our staff are right beside the men's staff, and our changing rooms aren't far away from the men either, because our coaches actually learn so much from the men's side. Because often we'll have a meeting before training, and our coach will have just been in with the men's side and went through our game from the weekend before and just taken bits from them. So there's always that interaction between the two sides, and we bump into the boys a lot as well, and they always have a hello to say and how we're getting on in Perth, and if there's anything we need and all of this, it's very welcoming. So it's great to have that interaction. And obviously COVID as well, we had fixed training schedules for a while, but I think the last month we've been bumping into them more, and it's been really good.
And you definitely have settled so well in the club. But what was it like, Niamh, I suppose, going from the West Clare Waves to the West Coast Eagles? Obviously it was a big change going from the weather in Ireland, I suppose, to the weather in Australia as well. But how well prepared did you feel heading out there last year, and I suppose setting you up for this second season now as well?
Yeah, we actually had one tournament up in Dublin where we played with West Clare Waves. But to be honest, myself and Grace, we landed up and we hadn't a clue of any of the rules of the AFLW. So we learned a lot through like Mike Curran that day. And then we met him like this year as well. We were at home just for one session before we left. But no, like going into last year, like we had been on a few Zoom calls with the coaches over here, but like we didn't know very much. And I suppose it's so much different until you're actually thrown into the game, and that's when you pick up the rules of the game, and that's when you even pick up the terminology and everything like that as well. So the difference between coming out last year and now, there's a huge difference really on little things you pick up, and just even the tackling, the physicality, the oval shaped ball, all that sort of thing. It takes a little while to get used to, but I do think we've kind of built confidence. The more you play, the more confident you kind of feel. But yeah, there's still loads to learn. Like we're learning all the time. So really looking forward to it. But yeah, the biggest difference for me is the heat. Out here, our first training session, I think we had heat stroke. So the coaches and stuff, they're always well organized with slushies and wet towels and hydrolytes and everything like that. So I think that was the biggest shock to the system for us, was the heat.
Brilliant. And Grace, Niamh mentioned there, I suppose, that you're always learning, but what have you seen was different, even for the semi-finals there at the weekend? Did you see a difference in the standard, or I suppose in how the teams, like Collingwood were your first team in round one, and did you see even a development of how they were playing there in the semi-finals at the weekend?
Oh yeah, definitely. You can spot the teams that have just link up well together, and I think teams like Fremantle, Collingwood, Adelaide, they've been around like since the beginning, and you can totally tell that. Just I think the physical side of it, they're well developed in the gym, and also their gameplay as well. They kind of just know where people are, and when to deliver the ball and when to hold it, and just that experience really, that smartness. Sometimes we might think we have to get rid of the ball really quickly, if there's a bit of pressure on us, but sometimes it's the best thing to do is to hold it in and to get a stoppage. So it's little things like that. I think it's just the smarts of the game, but that'll come, and we definitely have improved since last year. So I think another year of development will be beneficial to us, and so we're optimistic about next year.
And Niamh, in the postseason, what's the plan for players, or what normally happens? Is there something kind of goals laid out by the club, or is it kind of up to yourselves of what you'd like to do or want to do then for the postseason?
Yeah, so I think myself and Grace, we'll go home, and straight after season we have like a few team events and award nights out with the team. But then the girls out here, they go back to their kind of club teams. So some of them might play all of the games, some of them might not play any game, and some of them will just play one or two. So it's very different to they kind of go into like academy in the club and they train a little bit with the club. But we'll go home and we'll play with Maigh and play with my Davids as well. So really looking forward to getting back and seeing the girls at home, and transitioning back into Gaelic football again as well. So but yeah, a lot of the girls out here, they'll play one or two games. And some of them will play that bit more. Whoever didn't maybe get games throughout the year, they'll play a few more games. So yeah, it's a little bit different to home, because I suppose there's less football. It's their downtime now. But over the next few weeks, we have like AFLW awards and team events and stuff like that before we head home. So we're really looking forward to that, and then getting stuck into Gaelic football when we get home.
And what's the transition like then, I suppose, Grace, when you're having to change back, or what is challenging to go back from the AFLW to the ladies' game then of football?
Last year, actually, I done my MCL, so I was late going back into Gaelic football. So I was kind of just using my hands and hand passing against the wall at the start. So my transition back was kind of slow back into it, which I suppose was different to Niamh's. But Niamh, I remember when I was watching the club training session, one of Niamh's first training sessions, she tackled one of our girls. It just completely forgot. But the other girl got her back, so it was very funny. So yeah, you just have to remember to rein it back a little bit. But I think because Gaelic football, we've played it all of our lives, you have that muscle memory, I suppose. it's not very hard to like transition back into it. So when I was watching Niamh and the other Irish girls like Sarah Rowe, they were well able and slotted in nicely. So yeah, looking forward to this season.
And I suppose with Maigh you would have played, you know, under 13, under 14 with the lads teams anyways before the girls teams were there. So you were always well used to the physicality. But Niamh, what's your highlight of the season been so far for what you played of your second season?
There's been so many highlights this year. I think I had a small injury throughout the year, so I hurt my finger in one of the games. So I definitely think like my first game back after that, wasn't expecting to be back, and I remember just being like feeling just so grateful to be able to actually play. And then I think probably the biggest highlight was the game against Geelong. We just had a great win. It was a home game. We were playing in the club with like everyone around us that we knew. Yeah, and so I think that game for me was the highlight.
And Grace, what about you? I'll ask you the same question as well. Your highlight for the season?
My highlight, God, there were so many highlights really for different reasons, but that one that Niamh said was definitely an important win for us. I think the Gold Coast game as well, that was our first win, and that was also at home. So the atmosphere was just fantastic, and singing the song in their huddle was amazing as well. So yeah, just getting everyone together and seeing everyone happy and delighted with that first win, and the coaches and everything, it was just kind of a reward for effort. So I think our win against Gold Coast was my stand.
Brilliant, and it upped the confidence for the whole team. But one thing I suppose that's been noticeable when we're looking at the games as well, there seems to be that, you know, supporters and fans are following the team to the, you know, the different games from it. Do you see that, Niamh, that there's a kind of a core group that are following the team and supporters you have at each match?
Yeah, definitely. There was one or two games that were behind closed doors, and you can really see the difference. You know, in the crowds, it was a lot quieter and stuff. But there's definitely, I suppose, the support out here is growing with the ladies' game, which is really good, and it's similar to home. Like ladies Gaelic is on the rise so much at home, and there's more and more people going to games as well. So it's very similar in that regard. You'd have probably the same amount of crowds at a game out here as you would at home as well. So it's really good. It's equally on the rise, like ladies Gaelic. So yeah, it's really good. It's great this year that we have like TG Cahir airing the games as well. So we definitely have way more support at home this year, which has been really nice as well. Especially, I suppose last year we went home at Christmas, and we got to see family and stuff like that. And our family came out and visited us and our boyfriends. So this year we've kind of been out here a bit longer, but a lot more people I feel at home are like texting good luck in games, and that's definitely through just the air on TG Cahir, and they can see the highlights on a Monday night, and like mom and dad are nearly more excited about the games than we are. So no, it's really good to have that exposure there, but definitely have more support this year, like over in Australia and at home.
It's brilliant, and obviously everyone's really enjoying seeing it, but there's such Irish involvement. But when can we expect to see home again, Grace, on Irish soil, or what's the plan for returning back?
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I think by the end of April, we're hoping to be flying home. We have a few events to go to with the team, and we're actually doing work on the side here in the club. So that'll finish up the end of April. So we're going booking flights this week with the club. So I think by end of April, early May, we should be home then.
So definitely in time for championship and for putting on the Mayo jersey again. What has it been like, even with a few of the newer players that have joined the setup this year as well? And I know obviously Ashley McCarthy came from the Bulldogs, but have you found that it's been easier to gel with the players, and since it's your second year that you're more experienced, I suppose, and helping the team bond, even Niamh as well?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose the new young girls that have come through, like you can see the development, they're improving like so much. So that we've got two girls, they're only 18 years of age, and you'd swear they're our age. Like they're just really, like, they're well developed in the gym. They're just fantastic girls, and the energy they bring is incredible. But definitely I feel like the difference from last year, I think last year me and Grace, we didn't know much about the game, so we would have been like asking girls so many questions, and we would have been like taking in all the information for the first year, whereas this year you can kind of contribute a little bit more because you know a little bit more about the game, and which is really exciting as well. So you're learning little bits all of the time. But yeah, the coaches are incredible. There's always someone there to do one-on-one skill sessions with you, or even if you wanted to go and look at a little bit of vision, coaches will be there to show you clips and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely I feel this year we're a little bit more confident in the group, and we've kind of got that little bit of terminology kind of nailed at this point.
That's great to hear. Well, we're all picking it up as we go along, but thankfully we have you as experts to help us. Grace, what would your predictions be for the final? Because obviously Brisbane Lions came out on top against Collingwood. You had played in the first round, you'd come up against tough teams in rounds 1, 2 and 3, but who would you be looking at for Adelaide Crows versus Brisbane Lions?
Yeah, it'll be a tough one. Two very good teams, and obviously Adelaide won it 2 years ago, so they'll have that experience. I think I might go with Brisbane this time. I think they've had great momentum coming into all their games, and you can see that their team are a tight-knit team. And I know that Orla Dwyer is really enjoying it and enjoying the football this year as well. I'll go with Brisbane this year.
And Niamh, how would you feel? Would you go up with the Crows? Obviously have great experience in it. Brisbane Lions have been going well and had a great performance in the semi. What would your thoughts be?
Yeah, it'll definitely be, as Grace said, it's going to be a really tight game. It's great that there's 2 Irish girls in it. So you've Ailish with Adelaide and Orla with Brisbane. So I think I'm going to go, it'll be a tight one, but Brisbane, I just feel like they're really good. We played against them earlier on in the season. We played Adelaide as well, but Brisbane just felt they're really like all round very good team. Adelaide have that experience as well, and they've won premierships, but I'd like to see Brisbane winning a premiership, so I'll go with Brisbane.
And Grace, for the popularity of the AFLW, like would they be expecting a full house for the game then, or what would the crowd situation be like for the final?
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah, we were at an AFL game here in the Optus Stadium in Perth, the men's game, and it was 3/4 full the capacity. So I reckon there'll be a big crowd for the women's game as well. I'm not sure if they'll let the full stadium be full, but I'd imagine whatever they can bring in, the crowd will be there, because there is a good following here in AFLW, just like Gaelic football really. So I reckon there'll be a good crowd.
And I suppose, Niamh, with all the Irish girls that have added to the group going out, and you have had the experience of being out there before, you've signed your contract extension for 2022. Do you think there'll be more Irish girls interested in going out and taking the opportunity to go and play in the AFLW next year?
Yeah, I definitely do think there will be. I think a lot of the girls that have transitioned across have got on really, really well as well. And just we can bring similarities from Gaelic across to AFLW. Although it's been a big learning curve as well. And for the first year especially, you're learning so much about the game and all that. You play with a little bit more freedom for the second year. But I definitely do feel that a lot of the girls at home would get on really well out here. But yeah, I think if COVID didn't happen this year, there would have been a lot more girls, I'd say, out here are looking maybe for an opportunity to get out. But yeah, I do feel in years to come, I can see a few Irish people out here.
But it's great to have it to look forward to. And I suppose with the experience you're bringing back, Niamh, it only helps to add to, like, with the fitness, kind of the conditioning and strengthening that you've gotten over in Australia, it has to bring an advantage coming back into a county setup then as well at home.
Yeah, we've had a good season, like with, I suppose we've 9 games and stuff like that. So for the last 2 weeks, we've kind of been on a bit of a deload to recover and get ourselves ready for the Gaelic season. So really looking forward to getting back out kind of on the track this week, doing a little bit of running and that. But yeah, hopefully we can build on this and get a bit fitter and stronger than going back into the Gaelic season. But yeah, it's good that it didn't clash with any Gaelic football this year. So really happy that we can just hopefully get back now in the next 2 or 3 weeks and get back training with the girls then. But yeah, really looking forward to it.
Well, listen, thanks a million for joining us. I hope that you enjoy the award ceremonies and the last few bits you have to wrap up with the West Coast Eagles before you come home to Irish shores and finish up your second season out there. Niamh and Grace Kelly, Gurmil Maigh.
Thanks very much.
So much.